Hello, this is Slowrider coming at you live from Slowrider Acres on this beautiful 95-degree northern Sierra foothill day. It's a little hazy and funky because there's fires, and so you got a lot of smoke in the air. Cool it up a little bit, so I'm going to make this video quickly. I want to give the 6,000 mile review on my Royal Enfield. Let's see, 2023 Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. Now this bike is a twin, 6-speed, chain-driven. Comes from the factory with 47 horsepower, and it turns out it gets 47 miles per gallon. So that's really awesome, and it's got a nice neutral seating position. That's what I like about this bike. So you'll notice the foot pegs are in the neutral position here. So they're not, these are the passenger pegs. So what's nice about this bike, it has the clip-ons, but the clip-ons, if they're clip-ons, they would be here, but they have about a 5-inch riser that they're clipped onto, so they have that cool look, but it's a really nice, this is a nice comfortable feel. So it's a really, you could ride this bike all day long, and it's a nice little cafe racer, just right out of the box. I bought this thing for about $8,000 US out the door. Got this nice black and blue color. It's wonderful. The thing I like about this bike is it has the real tachometer and the speedometer, so there's no digital electronics. It does have a digital gas gauge and some digital. There's a little screen here with the mileage and trip LCD display, which is nice. But what I like is it's old school, and it's also, I love the spoke wheels. It's got the single 320 disc brakes in the front with the dual piston. And this is the, it's called Barber, but it's the Brembo, I don't know what you call it. It's the Brembo brand without the Brembo label on it. So it's made at Brembo, but it's Berber. And so these bikes are made in India. And boy, the Royal Enfield, those guys in India do a really good job. This bike, 6,000 miles, no problems. It runs like a top. Like I said, it's an old school twin. I love this chrome exhaust. It is oil cooled, but not water cooled. So it's got an oil cooler on it. So I'll go over the modifications I did. But right out of the box, this thing, it has a cable. It's all cable actuated, so there's no hydraulics on here. So it's a real throttle. And also the nice thing about it is it does have electronic fuel ignition and injections, so there's no carburetor. So it has an ECU, and this thing just starts every time. Let me start it up for you. It's a joy. It's really a joy to. So it just starts right up. So it's awesome, and I'll talk about that exhaust. It's got a really cool exhaust. It does the snap, crackle, and pop. You know, Slowrider's into the snap, crackle, and pop. All my bikes, it's got to be loud, and it's got to, when you back off the throttle like that, it's got to have that poppity, poppity, snappity, crackety sound, which this does. So I'll go over the mods. So the first obvious mods, in terms when you first ride the bike, it's very stable. It comes with the factory CEAT tires. That's spelled C-E-A-T on the front and rear. And I've changed those out. I did about 5,000 miles on those, and I have about probably 5,500 you get out of the factory tires. So I just put these tires, the new rubber on here, about 500 miles ago. So, and it made a huge, it's like a whole new bike, just with that one modification, the tires. Because I used to drive this thing, it runs really, it handles really good on the twisties, the back roads, the highways, but when you get on the interstate freeways here, when you get up to about 80 miles, it'd get a little squirrely and the shakes and vibrations, and so you didn't really want to go over 75, 80 miles per hour. I mean, you could, but it was a pucker factor. And so the new tires fix that. So with the new tires, I could cruise this thing 90, 100 on the freeway, and it's smooth as butter. Just the tires alone made the difference. And I think there's another way to upgrade it to make even better handling. So I'm going to go over the mods. I guess as I talked about the tires, I will talk about that. So the front and rear wheel sizes are 18 on the front, 18 on the rear. So the front tire, this bad boy is a Pirelli Sport Demon. It's a 110 90 18. Again, that's a Pirelli Sport Demon 110 90 18, and that's a radial tire with a tube, obviously, because these are spokes. So I didn't want to go tubeless because I don't want to get a flat. So I run the and you can do that. You can run the tubeless tires with the tube, which is fine. So these are steel-belted radial modern tires, and it made a huge difference. The bike just handles. I'm comparing this to my Ducatis. I have a Ducati Diavolo V4, and I got a Panigale V2, and it really, not as good as, but it really, that's what I'm comparing it to, and I'm saying it's really good. I mean, the handling's good. The tires made a big difference. So the rear tire, this bad boy's the fattest one you can put on there. It's a Michelin Commander on the rear. It's a 150 70 18. Again, it's a 150 70 18, and it's got the B18, and the B is just for bias. So don't worry about the B. It just means it's a bias ply tire. It's a radial. So it's a 150 70 B18, and so it's a pretty aggressive tire on the front and back, and it makes a difference. So one thing you got to know: this tire fits perfectly. Basically, if you were to take a piece of cardboard, that's the clearance between the swing arms. So it's like a 1/4 inch. So you got a 1/4 inch on the right side, swing arm, and a 1/4 inch on the left. So the tire fits in there perfect. So the 150 tire fits, the 150 70 18. The only thing you got to do is you got to go in here, and the chain guard is plastic. So you just trim. You trim about a piece like that, and then there's no problems. And you can't even tell. From here, you can't tell I trimmed it because it's on the inside. It's easy to do. You could just kind of saw in here, so you can't even see it. So it's just, because otherwise it will rub on the plastic guard, but you just trim that little piece out, and it's plastic, so it just comes right out. And you don't even, I did it in place. I just, have one of those tools that goes like this with the saw on it, and I just went. Zzz, it took me like 2 minutes. I just did it right here, and you don't even have to take anything apart. So the tires, I should have done that first. So I mean, if you buy the bike new, which I recommend this bike to anybody, especially like a new rider, it's a 650. I wouldn't get the 350 Royal Enfield. Unless you're just putting around like a small city or something, like a moped. Like this bike is nice because it's easy to ride. It's not too big, and it's very, very gentle. It's a 6-speed, and it's got this nice clutch. It's just super smooth and buttery. So I recommend doing the tires first, and that's the front tire is about $150, and the rear one's like it's like $250. So it's the whole thing together, and it's $30 a tire to get them mounted. And I did all the work myself, so it's not too hard. It's about $300 or $400 for tires, but it's for the bang for the buck on any motorcycle. That's the best. That's the best mod. So the next mod I did was obvious. I bought this blue seat cover and put on, because this black seat goes to here, so it gives it a little more cafe racerish. So this is the cowling that goes on the back. That was like $150, and so I got these parts online. So if you look at Royal Enfield parts, there's tons of vendors, and they're all from India. And so I ordered this all from India. It might take 2 or 3 weeks, but they're honest, so they all come through. So I actually got the mirrors. So and this is easy. There's just, you put it on, it just snaps on. There's 2 bolts. It just screws right on. So the next mod I did was the bar and mirrors. Because again, all these bikes come with what I call the Mickey Mouse mirrors up here, and the problem with those, you can't see, so the bar end mirrors, and these are Royal Enfield bar end mirrors, are the round ones, so you can kind of see that. I will give you a tour here. Let's take you guys over to see the bar end. So these are the bar end mirrors here. They're Royal Enfield. So they come with the full kit, I believe. Yeah, so when you order those, make sure you get you got to get the mirrors. And these actually fit right on the original weights. So these ones actually fit. And then you just unscrew these 2 sets of mirrors, and then you're done. And then here's the gauges I love. I love the speedometer and the tach. It just looks really cool. So that's really nice. And then what another mod I did was I took the rear fender off. That's like three bolts. So I took that off. That was hanging out like here. So when you take that off, I mean, that's simple, that's free, right? So you just take that off, and that makes it look cool. You see this big fat tire back here, which looks nice. That's that 150 tire. So that's another mod. So that's free. And I also took off the front fender, which is here. So you'll see that's the front fender. Let me put you guys back here so I can explain. And that's a really simple, I'm not even know if, yeah, so that fender is just, you know, that's how it looks the other way. I mean, it looks pretty nice. You can leave that on or off, but I took that off. It gives it a more beefy look. And remember to keep this cross member on here. Don't that, you got to take that off to get the fender off, but put it back, because that stiffens up the forks. I see some people, they take the front fender off, and then they take off the, they take this crossbar off and don't put it, I would put that back on. I might paint that black and put it back on, but that holds the forks tight. So don't take that off, no bueno. So in one of the bigger mods, the mods that made the most difference, like I said, this bike comes, it comes with 47 horsepower, but that's blowing through this high impedance. This thing is about 25 pounds, each one of these suckers. So this is the stock catalytic converter is in here, and exhaust. And it's whisper quiet. And so these were here, and they look kind of like Super Mario Kart. So that's how they were. And they're heavy, so just getting rid of this is probably almost, I would guess, 40 to 50 pounds off the bike. So I took both these mufflers off with the catalytic converter. So now you see on this bike, there's no catalytic, it's just a pipe. It's a straight pipe to here. And I was also running it with straight pipes. If you want, it looks pretty, it sounds really good. You can just take, there's two, 3 nuts. You can run the pipes, that looks cool. You dump it here, and some people run it with just straight pipes, and it looks cool because you get rid of this. It gives it even a more cafe racer look. It looks even cleaner. But I wanted these. These are Red Rooster Performance. So it's called Red Rooster Performance, and these come in black, gold, and a few different colors, but I got the chrome to match the chrome. So you can get those, and these, literally there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 screws. This takes like 10 minutes to swap these out. I mean, this is an easy mod to do. So it's very simple. And again, look those up, Red Rooster Performance Exhaust, and they're about $350 for the pair. And that made a huge difference. So people have dynoed these after this mod with the muffler, with the decat. And then I took out, this is the stock filter. You take this off, you gotta take the seat off and tap it, but that goes in the side, that goes in here in the air box. And the thing is this air box on the inside, it's got a cover. This is the intake. It's got a cover here. So what I did is I cut that off So I get more, and I put a high flow synthetic filter in there. And you could look that up too, it's a standard. So what that does is you get 2.5 to 3 times the airflow in and out. And people have dynoed those with just this mod, the getting rid of the catalytic converter, putting these pipes on, and the intake, and they've gotten up to 60 horsepower. So it's quite a difference, and that's without reprogramming it, no engine work, just decatting it, and it sounds really good. I mean, people always love the way this thing sounds. It sounds like a race bike. So I think that's pretty much it. Those are the mods. Like I said, 6,000 miles in about a year. Highly reliable. I mean, this bike, I would jump on this bike and drive across country on it. I mean, it would just, and you can cruise on the freeway easy 80, 90 miles per hour all day in 5th gear. That's not even 6th gear. And then it's got a 6th gear if you want to get gas mods. But this thing is really comfortable to ride. I love it. It sounds good. I mean, I would say if somebody was looking to buy their first bike, this is a good first bike, second and third bike. Or if you've been out of the motorcycling I'm 60 years old, so I bought this for my boys to learn on, and it's the perfect bike because it's gentle enough where you can learn how to ride it, but it's mean enough to once you learn how to, you can keep up. Sometimes I ride this, my boys are on their we have 2 Panigale V2s they have, so they're on their 2024 Panigale V2s, I'm on this, and we're ripping around on the freeway and I can keep up with them. I mean, when they take off quickly I can't, but if they're cruising, 80 miles an hour, I can keep up. But of course, if they wanted to rip off, they would rip off. But this bike, basically, if you're not doing anything crazy, it can keep up with pretty much any other motorcycle. I would say safely up to 100 miles an hour. I mean, the one, and so the one upgrades I was thinking of, they have it's about $200. You buy the stiffer fork internals, you take this apart and replace some of the valving. Or I was playing around with maybe just putting some thicker oil in there to stiffen it up so that it handles better on the corners. And then also, I'm going to upgrade the front brakes. So I'm going to put, and that's pretty simple. I'm just going to put some stickier brake pads in the front. These are still the original, but let's take a view of this. This is my little cafe racer. But it's beautiful, the chrome. I'm even probably going to buy another one of these. I'm going to buy a 2025 Continental GT 650, a white one, and then I'm going to put I'm going to make a Mad Max. I'm going to make the Goose bike. I know it's not the KZ 1000, but I'm going to make the Goose's second bike. So it's if he had because I'm going to buy it and I'm going to make a full fairing version of this bike. Like it's like a mini MotoGP bike, and it's going to be white. And it's going to be like the Goose Interceptor motorcycle and Mad Max. So and it's going to be like this, but it's going to be white, and then it's going to have the full fairing top end. I mean, I know where to get the fairing. And it's going to have the full fairing on it. it's going to look really cool. So I'm going to make it look like the old MFP police bike. So stay tuned for that. I mean, I love the bike. I ride it all the time. Sometimes, sometimes it's like, it's a fun bike. It's literally so fun that sometimes I on the weekends when I'm just on a quiet day, I'm thinking, I ride this instead of my Ducatis. I mean, it's a fun bike. And people love it. It's a head turner. You can't go places. People always running over to you asking, what is that? What is that bike? I mean, people think this bike is like a 1950 or 60 bike that's been restored to perfection. because it looks like it. I mean, that's why I like it. It's old school, and it does have, it has front and rear ABS, and that's pretty much the only thing it has in terms of modern conveniences. And so electronics, it's got the electronic engine management unit, and I don't know if that's what EMU or whatever it's called, but it's got the fuel injector, so it doesn't have a carburetor, but it does have the cable throttle and cable clutch and cable brakes, of course. And it's got, it's got the spoked wheels, and it 6-speed, and it looks and feels like a real throwback bike. But the thing is, you're getting all that throwback goodness, and people love it, but you're not getting all the throwback unreliability. So this thing, it just runs. And again, I've ridden this in the rain, in the sleet, when it's been just raining. This thing's been just soaked. I've been coming home in like drenching downpours, and nothing. And the bike was soaked, dripping water everywhere, and it just handles it, no problems. And then the next day it was like cold out, like 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it started right up, and it was all wet and cold, and man, this thing just runs. And so I've done all the maintenance. Well, I had the first 500-mile maintenance done at the dealership, but I do the oil changes myself. It's pretty easy. And like I said, all the parts are Royal Enfield parts, and they're usually sourced out of India. So just have patience. And this bike is really easy to work on, so I did all the mods myself. And I think for this bike, this is it. I was gonna put the fairings on this, but I just like the way the blue, black, and the chrome looks, so I'm gonna leave it. And I'm gonna buy another one, a white one. I'm gonna put the full fairing kit on it and paint it white. And then I'll have 2 of these. Then we won't have to fight over it anymore. We'll have we'll have 2 GT650, but I can't say enough about this. You could literally ride this bike every day to work on the freeway and be safe. I've done it several times. I've ridden to my work and back on the interstate, and you can just sit in the fast lane doing 80 and 90. It's smooth, especially with these new tires. The new tires turned it into a freeway cruiser. Before that, it was more of a surface street, back roads. But when you put the good tires on it, the rubber made a huge difference, because that's part of the suspension. And like I said, the only thing I might want to upgrade is the front forks. And so that's either just changing the oil out to a heavier oil, or actually getting one of these kits. They have racing kits where you stiffen up and you can make these fully adjustable. You replace the springs and put the valves in. All right, that's it, man. Slow Adder out, 6,000 mile. Love it. Would definitely recommend buying it. All right, Slow Adder out.